So thanks to this short overview of features in our upcoming 6.1 release, this release should go live early in the December quarter of this year. There's a couple of categories of things we've got in here, chart enhancements, and John Pierce is going to join me in a second and take you through these. Running accumulation, bar and line measures, currency symbols, a whole bunch of improvements in how you get access to maps. This is things that we've heard over and over again from our customers that they would like for better presentation and ease of use. We've also continued to make improvements on the user interface, more thinner. We've taken the 3D shading off the chart, so it's got more of a kind of classic look. And we've removed plot points and lines, so it's a thinner overall look and feel. We've set some new defaults. Missing is now a dash instead of a null in our text tables. The data sheet default text is black, and we've added a connector to Information Builder's direct URL link. So I want to hit what we did in 6.0 because these two build together. And in 6.0, we did a bunch of improvements in the heat map, the server UI, the UI in general. So this is where we started the thinning process and trying to create a much crisper, more modern look and feel. John will show you the progression from 5.9 to 6.1, which is pretty profound in that area. We also, in 6.0, added the flight recorder on the server and bookmarks. We did a lot of work there. And we did a whole new color model management back end of the product. So for that information, look at the 6.0 video, which is attached to the email that has this one. We're going to jump in now on chart enhancements and actually chart enhancements on the left and other on the right. Okay, John, take it away.
Okay, so I'm going to start off by showing you the 5.9 version of Advisor Analyst. So this is to remind you what the previous version looked like. So we've been on a two-release journey where we've been changing the look of the user interface to try to reduce to try to simplify the appearance of the application, to remove some of the framing graphics, to have to help the data be more forward in the presentation. So this is what it used to look like, and so this is the new version. So some of the changes which happened in 6.0 were reducing the weight of the framing lines and changing some of the graphics associated with that. The changes that we've made in 6.1 are in terms of removing the shading from various charts and from titles and some things like that. So in the newest version, the only shading that really remains is on things like the multiscape, where the shading is sort of essential to understanding the 3D-ness of the rendering. But in general, we're using more simplified graphics, less shading, and a more straightforward appearance. Now, if you actually prefer the old look, you can go to the Select Chart Colors dialog, and there's a new Control Shade Chart Elements. If I turn that on, this returns to the previous look. So you'll notice now the bar chart is shaded. There's larger glyphs on the line chart. There's shading on the titles in the text grid charts, and some of the graphics of the Parabox, for example. When you turn that on, it's good for the it's good for that project after that. But if you create a new project, it'll go back to the default of having shading turned off. So you can return to the previous look, but we suspect you probably won't want to. So that's in terms of appearance. Now I'm going to talk about another of the change. So in our charts, traditionally, if you touch it and hover for a few seconds, then it'll label the bar or the graphic with information about the data represented there. So the name of the category, the weight, and some information about how it is in terms of selected versus total population. So in some cases, you'd like to be able to see that more directly. So we've added a new control, which is here, which labels the graphics with the measure directly. So, for example, I can turn it on so that it's labeled based on the selected value. So as we see here, 1528 is indeed the overall, is the selected amount of this category. if I make a selection in another chart, you'll see that it updates to show you what's currently selected. I can, in addition to labeling with the selected weight, I can label with the total weight. So in this case, we'll see that as I make selections in other charts, the values do not change because it's the total measure weight for that particular category. Notice that if it's the selected weight, then when I make selections for the bars that are totally unselected, they're not labeled at all because we've only asked for the selected weight. So a bar that's totally unselected will not be labeled at all. In addition, you can label with the percentage that category represents of the overall population, and the total that's currently selected. So, for example, now it's the bar labels are showing what the percentage of that category is currently selected. So this works in both orientations of charts. For the orientation of the chart where the bars are horizontal, the bars are preferentially labeled outside of the bar, but if there isn't enough room, then it labels inside the bar. But otherwise, it works pretty much the same. You'll notice that if we so the operation of this is pretty much the same. When the bar charts are in this orientation, it's more likely that you'll be able to label every bar because again it's trying to insert the labels as best it can, but there's only a certain amount of space available. So, and as you zoom in, more labels will get added, but it can only label where there's space to label. So if there's things that if labeling would cause the text to be overlapped, it'll be omitted. So these measure labels are available on bar charts in either orientation as we've seen. They're also available on line charts. On line charts, so it's controlled in the same way. You've got the same options. On line charts, it's going to be less useful because the charts are more busy to start with, and there's not an obvious place where the label goes. Similar to the bar charts, if you've labeled with the selected values, you can see that the labels are now being placed where the selected portions of the lines are being drawn. If I label with the total weight, then it goes back to where the totals are, which would be the unselected lines. So the behavior is a little different because of the difference in representations. So I'm going to go back to not labeling that. So this is a capability where you can, available in bar charts, available in line charts. You can label the chart with a variety of measures, which are basically the same measures that are available from the focus text, and those will be constantly displayed with the labels fitted in as best as can be done. Another enhancement is a new ability to show cumulative measures. So let's look at this summary sheet on the lower right-hand corner. So we've got a series of data by year where the year is a number. And so we've got one field which is a sum of all of the items that have that particular year, another field which is a sum, and another field which is the cumulative sum. So you'll notice that this increases. It's constantly going up. So if I switch that so that the C at that field rather than the cumulative sum is the sum, we'll see that these have, so each of these categories has these particular values, which is formed for summing up all the rows that have the that value of year. If I switch back to the cumulative sum, we'll see that it's the sum within that category plus all of the previous categories in the sequence determined by the sorting field. So this is sorted by year. So these are, and the years are in increasing order. So these are so these are, the C at bats are increasing as well. If I change the sort order, then the order of the accumulation changes as well. And so this is this option is available for any of the numeric measure fields within the summary sheet, and you can do a cumulative sum. You can also do a cumulative count. Now, the other chart that we've added this ability to show an accumulation is the line chart. We don't think it really makes sense to use something like this in something like a bar chart because there's not a natural sense of connectedness there. But in a line chart there is. So the way you turn it on in a line chart is you go to the property grid for that chart, and there's a new option, cumulative measure, which is false by default. I will turn it on to true. And so now this line chart is showing the cumulative sum of the measures that are being displayed in it. So this option, we placed it in the control grid because we view this as an option that you're going to want to turn on or off as an author, and it doesn't make sense to make something that you're going to switch interactively on a chart. So that it didn't seem to make sense to add it as one of the controls that's always available on the chart. So now these two measures are being cumulatively summed. We saw them before, and so now if I make selections, we can see that the totals again are cumulative as well. If I make a selection in the chart itself, you'll notice that the unselected portion will be 0 because there's nothing to accumulate. Then for the section that I selected, it accumulates, and then after that, it's a constant value because again, there's nothing more to accumulate. So this is a useful option if you have, for example, you're interested in seeing how a measure rolls up, for example, quite often over time, and you want to see how you're advancing towards a goal. This was something that was difficult to see previously without having this as a way of aggregating within your chart. So now it's available as an option within the summary sheets and within the line charts and within those sheets, within those charts only. Okay, another new feature is the ability to control the currency symbol that's used within this, which is displayed within the software. So within the current version of Advisor Analyst, when you have a data field marked as currency, then whatever the currency symbol is within your current locale is always used. So what this feature does is it lets you choose the currency symbol that you would like to use explicitly, and then that currency symbol will always be used instead, no matter what locale you're in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new data source. And so I'm going to look for a file that I want to import. And then when I begin the import process, it'll show me the set of fields and their characteristics that are in this data. So say, for example, I take the individual hard credit field and that this is actually currency. So I'm going to mark it as currency. And when I do that, there's this new column here which can be used to select the currency symbol that will be used. By default, it's going to be the symbol for the current locale. So this PC is currently in U.S. English, so the dollar sign would be the current default. Now let's look at another one, individual hard credit. If I use this as currency and say that this is, I know that this is actually euros in the data, so I can explicitly select the euro symbol, and now this will be used. So these are the two fields, individual hard credit, individual hard credit. Now I'm going to import this data. And so now this data has been loaded. And I'm going to make a data sheet on this data. And when we look at them, we will see that the field that I marked as having the locale currency is now a dollar sign, and the field that I requested that it explicitly have a euro sign has a euro sign. And this will be used uniformly wherever values from those fields are shown. The other thing you can do is if you build an expression and you take and you would like to, you can also specify there the currency symbol that should be used. So if I, again looking at the same data, if I started from one of these fields, I can specify in the expression this as C clause means that this the new field that's created should be formatted as currency. I can also enter in a symbol that should be used here. So, for example, I can say I want to mark it as EUR to indicate that it's a euro. And when I evaluate that, so this is the new field XXX. So if I go and add that field to this display, I will see that now all of the symbols, all of the amounts are being marked as EUR. The position of the symbol is determined by the locale. So you cannot still control, for example, if you wanted the euro symbol to be at the rear. If you're in a locale where the currency symbol is typically in the rear, then they will all show up there, but you can't control that explicitly. So another new feature that we've added is additional resources for using maps. So I'm just going to add a map chart, and so as I add a map, when I'm asked to indicate what geocodes, how the geocodes should be obtained for this data, I now have a new option, which is a link. And if I click on that, it'll bring me to a website. And this website has information in it in terms of directions for how to use the mapping capability, a set of maps that you can download in addition to the ones that come with the product, and a set of geocodes that you can download to use to map the names of locations to the latitude and longitude codes that are needed to position those on the map. So, and the kind of maps that are available are for countries, for states and regions and provinces, and for a set of common metropolitan areas. So this is a resource that's available to you that you can use to extract these, and then they'll be available in the map wizard, and you can use those for both geocoding your locations and for selecting maps that can be used to display those locations. So the final addition to the product that I'm going to show you today is a new data source that we now provide. So this is the WebFocus procedure. So if you're a Information Builders customer using WebFocus, you can now connect directly to a WebFocus procedure and use that to import data directly into Advisor Analyst. So we will provide additional documentation on exactly how this is done. I'm not going to demonstrate this any further today, but this is now a new data source in addition to our previously existing data sources. Okay.
So thanks for your time, and any other questions, just get back to us. Best bet is support@advisorsolutions.com, and we'll give you more details. Again, this is due to start shipping early October would be a good time frame to put on it. Take care, and thank you for your time.